Okay, we did it. We're at the end of the semester. So this is the semester one exam. It's fabulous. It's 5 pages of 62 question goodness. Good for determining how much you know. So let's do this. I'm going to go over this entire test, all 62 questions, very fast. So the first section is broken down into the different sections of your review project. So it's pretty simple in that sense, and it's in the exact order of the review project in the sense of the categories. And then there's one little addition, one little spice at the end, which we'll get to at the end here. So Unit 1, slavery. That's pre-Civil War stuff. You need to know the invention that caused more slavery, cotton. You need to know which president was elected that had led to the southern states leaving the Union, which was President Lincoln was elected. So the southern states went bye-bye. First battle of the Civil War, because it leads into the Civil War, right, is Fort Sumter. And what act caused Bleeding Kansas? Kansas-Nebraska Act. And finally, you need to know about the slave ships. So you need to know what they were organized like, what they did to the slaves prior to entering the ships. Was they branded them, they took their clothes, they shaved their heads, tons of stuff. So know that stuff. So that's all Unit 1. Unit 2 stuff. Unit 2, you need to know what bromine does. It stopped infection. And when you discovered this at the end of the Civil War, it definitely would have came more in handy at the beginning of the Civil War, that's for sure. What invention caused more deaths because it was accurate in shooting? The mini ball. And also it had other things too, but the mini ball. What advantages the North had? They had trains, telegraphs, factories. What ended slavery in everywhere, federal level, that's everywhere. That's 13th Amendment. What ended slavery in the South? That is the Emancipation Proclamation. And when I say South, that could also mean Confederacy. Tomato, tomato. Anyway, what demonstrated total war? That was Sherman's March. Who was the person that signed the surrender at Appomattox Courthouse? That was Robert E. Lee. That is the whole Civil War section done. Reconstruction, questions 13 through 20. Why did Andrew Johnson become president? Because Lincoln was assassinated. We talked about that Booth assassination of Lincoln in depth. Which president of the Reconstruction era ended Reconstruction? That was Rutherford B. Hayes. Which president of the Reconstruction era vetoed a ton of bills? That was Andrew Johnson. Which was the first person who got impeached? Andrew Johnson as well. The organization that grew in the South, it was also led by Nathan Bedford Forrest, was the KKK. That was the racist terrorist organization of the South after the Civil War. What was the thing that would trap families to plantations after slavery was abolished? Sharecropping. Sharecropping was just slavery by another name. It was a cycle of death that kept people attached to those plantations. What was the curfews and vagrancy laws called that were only administered to freed black citizens? That would be black codes. And that's the Reconstruction era. Done. Let's go to Unit 2. Unit 4, Gilded Age. You need to know about all the peoples of the Gilded Age, okay, the 8 peoples. So Cornelius Vanderbilt, choo-choo, the railroads. Remember, he built the railroads. He also built Grand Central Station, which was 4 railroads. So there you go. Who bailed out the country from a 2-year depression? Morgan, money, money, money. He bailed out the country because he had a bunch of money. Who was responsible for the Johnstown flood and also the strikers being shot by the Pinkertons and also being shot and stabbed himself? That would be Henry Frick. And who developed the Model T car? That would be Henry Ford. Who is the oil dude? Who is the steel guy? Who is the electricity people? Let's get to those right now. So your Beard of Steel, Andrew Carnegie, right? Andrew Carnegie, Beard of Steel, skyscrapers. The oil Rockefeller to the ground. If I say oil, you say Rockefeller. Oil, Rockefeller, good job. Who's the guy who did DC power, invented the light bulb, and killed Topsy the elephant? That was the one and only Edison. And who did the AC power and maybe enjoyed birds companies a little too much? Nikola Tesla. There you go, Gilded Age. Over. Let's get to Unit 5, Spanish-American War and Native Americanism. Native Americanism? Native Americans. I apologize. So two terms you need to know right off the bat. Patriotism versus nationalism. Patriotism is you're proud of one's country, but you're also willing to learn from history's mistakes and change yourself to make yourself not make those mistakes. Nationalism is you love yourself for what you're not. In other words, we're at least not as bad as those people. We're not as bad as those people. And also, you reinvent history because you don't like to admit when you do something wrong. Rough Riders, this is back to Spanish-American War. Rough Riders fought on horseback. The Buffalo Soldiers got their name because they fought in the Indian Wars, because the buffalo was a respected animal, and the Native Americans respected them so much that they also, there you go. So let's go to what state did we get from the Spanish-American War? We got Hawaii. Yay! Hallelujah. What did Native Americans? Oh, when Custer fought the Native Americans, the Sioux Nation over in the Dakotas, what happened to him after his death? They pierced his eardrums. They took these needles and they pierced his ears. So bad news bears there. And what did they take away from Native American children when they went to boarding schools? They took away their names. They took away their religion. They took away their family. They took away their clothes. They cut their hair. They made them speak a different language. They did all these things to Native Americans. All terrible stuff. All right, Unit 6, immigration. Here's the different groups, okay? Irish, they came over because of the potato famine. German, they had a stereotype of being drunks, even though they statistically weren't. The Irish, they were treated poorly too. The Italians, they were treated poorly too. Their stereotype was being criminals. The Japanese came over and they became Hawaiian farmers for a lot of them. The Chinese came over because of the gold rush. A lot of them built the railroads that you see today. So there you go. There's our different groups there. Also with immigration, you need to know different places like Angel Island, Ellis Island, Steerage, and Cabin. Cabin is where the rich people, this is like where Rose was in Titanic on the steamships coming over to America. Steerage is where the poor people, this is where Jack was in the movie Titanic, right? Steerage is where all the poor people were. Ellis Island was on the East Coast. That's where the Statue of Liberty is, and that's where the Europeans come into. Ellis Island, East Coast. Angel Island was the West Coast, and that's where the Asian immigrants would come into. All right, let's go to Unit 7, which is World War I. Adolf Hitler, he was a poor, unsuccessful painter. It was one of the reasons why he joined the military. His job was a messenger because he was like this scrawny little dude that couldn't do much physically. You had which singular event pushed us in the war? The Zimmerman telegram. It basically was Mexico, a message to Mexico saying that the Germans will come and fight us after World War I. And we're like, no, you won't. So Zimmerman telegram. Churchill lost his command because of his failure at Gallipoli. Mussolini's job was a sniper. What new rules? New rules on fraternization came about because of the Christmas truce. These were sold to financially support the war. Liberty bonds. This right here, end of the war, was the Treaty of Versailles. Woodrow Wilson's plan to keep peace, 14 points. Woo! General history. So if I said, what is getting bullets and beans to the front lines, you'll say logistics. Good job. And what question should you always be asking in history class? Why? Why did this happen? So that we can analyze and maybe stop these bad things from happening in the future or continue the good things, History's not about good guys or bad guys. It's about perspective. And finally, you should be able to put a bunch of stuff in order from when I taught it to you and also when it happened in history. So what came first? Bleeding Kansas, because that's going to drift us into the Civil War. After the Civil War, Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall. All the king's horses, all the king's men, trying to put Humpty back together again. That's Reconstruction. And one of the last things I taught you was the Spanish-American War right before World War I. So that is your semester exam. I believe in you. You can do this. It's 124 points, 2 points per question, 62 questions in all. You're going to do just fine. Peace out.